understand that today you guys had maybe you had a session, of course, on in regard to BDA. So what Mwalimu will be specifically guiding us today, it is all about how to go about the business data analytics paper. There are mistakes that a lot of students normally tend to make, and I wouldn't want you guys to make the same mistakes. So I'll guide us on the first area, on the mistakes to avoid. Then after the mistakes to avoid, of course, what are some of the key functions or specific areas that we must always tend to make sure that we are good at anytime we are handling, of course, business data analytics. Then in addition to that, of course, if our time will be there, then I'll take you through, of course, some of the questions that we have for block model paper, which will help us a lot. So let us start by understanding the structure of our business data analytics. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to share my Excel workbook, which I believe should be very visible on our end. So let me start by guiding us on the structure of your paper. The structure of this data analytics. These are what you should always tend to have. Looking at the structure of business data analytics, we will be having like 3 sessions, or rather 3 sections. So we have section 1, in this case, section 1 of our BDA will be expected to understand the aspect of theories, an area that a lot of students normally tend to ignore, even in their revisions. So number 1, there's an area of theory. This is a BDA structure, business data analytics structure. So in this case, we have, of course, number 1, section 1, theory part. Theory part will contain like 20%. We have section 2, which in this case, we have, of course, these are core areas. Core areas in BDA, in this case, you'll find that the core areas will contain, of course, 60%. So when you're about core areas, you must be very good in understanding, number 1, there is financial reporting and accounting. Number 2, there is financial management. Number 3, there is financial, or rather this management accounting. These are the core areas of business data analytics. So about you having section 1, section 2, which is the core area, 60%. Then we have section 3. In this case, you'll find that section 3 will entail aspect of specialization. This will entail aspect of specialization, whereby in this case, you'll find that this will contain like 20%, another 20%. Where under specialization area, we have taxation. This is a public, finance, and taxation. Okay. Then we also have the other area here, which is auditing. So these are 3 sections of business data analytics, and even what you're going to expect in your coming exams, which you'll be doing, of course, in the next 2 weeks. So looking at this case, yeah, many a times there's always this question that, Mwalimu, assuming that maybe I had specialized in say like tax, will I not be required, or will I not be required to do, say, like auditing? See, or maybe I had specialized in say like auditing. Will I not be required to do taxation? So in that case, I want to make it very clearly at this point, that won't count. Whichever paper that you are specialized in your written papers, that won't count when you're doing your business data analytics here. So as I've always advised, is that you select a question that will maximize your marks. Look at the question that you are feeling very comfortable with. This question, make sure that, number one, you utilize or you maximize, you take the question that will maximize your points. That is what I've always advised my students. Anytime you're dealing with BDA, kindly on specialization, take a question that will maximize your points. Again, when it comes to, of course, the passing mark for BDA, it is just like all other papers. We have what? 50%. It is just like all other papers, we have 50%. So let us come on the mistakes that majority normally tend to make anytime they're dealing with aspect of business data analytics. A big or one mistake that a lot normally tend to make, in this case, assumption of the theory. Say, assuming theory part. One big mistake. Why? Because most of the time you realize that through the semester, a lot of students, they normally tend to concentrate so much on computation, ignoring the theory, without realizing that this theory will constitute 20%, which is very, very important, and it will count a lot for you to pass this paper. So, as at this point, I've always stated, never ignore the theory. In theory, you'll find that it has these three modes. When you're about theory, it will always have these three modes. That one I can tell you for sure. Theory, it has been designed in a way like almost 75 to 80%, or give it like, say like, let us give it say like 70%, but a huge chunk of theory. This one will come directly on, if at all you're having standard notes. If at all you're having standard notes for business data analytics, 70% will come directly from your theory. See, these are literally, if at all you're having the standard notes. 70% will come directly. Whereas you'll find that the other aspect of whenever we're talking about the notes, this will entail the theory, what you're reading directly, and the other bit that we're talking about, what? The aspect of whatever that you'll be doing in practice, some of the Excel functions. See, these are what will entail a theory part. In this case, I'm only talking about theory. 70% will come directly. Then there is other 30% here. 30% in this case, it is general knowledge. See, general knowledge. General knowledge. This is literally general knowledge. In this case, at this point, it is assumed that at least you have an understanding of aspect of things to do with IT at some point. So at this point, it will depend with how good are you or how conversant are you on the general knowledge in terms of what? IT, or in terms of analytics. So this is very key. So you'll find that already here, if at all you are a good student for theory, you can scoop already how many percent? 70% direct marks. 70% direct marks. And as I've always stated, say, like for those, I know I also have my students here, and they are aware of this. We have this theory notes for BDA that we have for our students. See, if at all you go through this document, that one I can tell you for sure, without fear of contradiction. If at all you go through this document very well, in this case, it will give you like almost 70% of theory, without fear of contradiction. That one I'm 100% sure. If at all you go through this document very well, this document for whatever the theory part for business data analytics that we have, and I think all our students for business data analytics, they do have this case. I can assure you, that one I can guarantee you. And when you do exams and you don't get like almost 70% of what is in this theory, come and ask Mwalimu for lunch. Come and ask Mwalimu for lunch. In this case, this document is very important. It will help you. I always share this when you're starting the semester. I always share that document when you're starting the semester. So make sure that you're good on those areas. What is the best strategy that can always handle the theory part? I've always shared this strategy aspect of what? Filtering technique. Filtering technique. See, I've always shared this technique. Filtering technique is the best technique to handle the theory. Let me explain to us how filtering technique works. Filtering technique, it works in a sense, and this has been the design all through. Normalize a change again, which I believe it won't change now. You'll be given A. These are we're handling the strategy for theory, right? So you've been given choice A, choice B, choice D, and choice D here. See, it has been designed, it has always been designed, and it will always be like that until they change. You'll find that out of these 4 areas, 2 sections, or rather 2 solutions in this case, 2 choices will be purely out of the question completely. 2 solutions will be purely out of what they have asked completely. And at times at this point, you even as a student will just realize. And again, how will you realize this? If only you've gone through the notes. So 2 out of the 4 choices you're going to be given, 2 will be purely out of the equation. So you're going to be left with 2 choices, which many a times they are always almost similar. They are always almost similar to each other. So it is at this point, my good students, that will depend if at all you've gone through the notes or not. But you're going to get 2 similar, almost similar solutions. So hapa ndo unasema nini? Unafunga macho, you take your mouse, yeah, piki ponki, whereby your mouse where it will follow is what you're going to select. Yeah, that's where you're going to select. No, it shouldn't be like that. So at this point, using filtering technique number 1, it will increase the chances of you selecting the right choice. And increasing more chances of you getting the right choice is what? If at all you are going through what? Through the notes. If at all you are going through the notes. That's the best time, or that's the best talk about that you'll be having a higher probability of selecting the right choice. So filtering technique, it normally works magic when it comes to theory. Filtering technique normally works magic when it comes to theory. That's what Mwalimu will advise us. Use filtering technique. It will help us a lot. Higher. What other mistake do students normally make? A lot of students, they normally make a mistake that they assume they are good in Excel. Why? Because they are using Excel at their workplaces. Because they are using Excel in their day-to-day activities. So assumption will always be like, I am good in Excel. So throughout maybe the semester, they were just there, right? Like they weren't taking it very seriously. Or maybe, and this normally affects those who normally tend to do their personal training or personal studies. You'll find that you assume you're good in Excel, but the question that I've always asked, yeah, how many times at your workplace do you normally use Excel to solve NPV? How many times at your workplace do you normally use Excel to solve regression analysis? How many times at your workplace do you normally use IRR? Yeah, how many times at your workplace do you normally use what? IRR. See, so you'll find that it is always very important. You'll find that it is always very important that at any given point in time, whenever you are doing, if at all you are the first time attempt, if at all maybe it is a second time attempt, the mistake that you should not make, it is to assume that you're good in Excel. In this case, always approach it as if you never attended a class for Excel, because just the same case as Molimo was asked, how many times do we normally use NPV at our workplace? Rarely we do that, or rarely we use IRR at our workplace. So that assumption that you're good in Excel, you'll kasumba, right? In that case, you might go to that paper and you'll be like, wait, the village elders, they have sat somewhere and they have decided that this paper should be like this. No, it's not your village elders. It is not your village elders. It is not your village elders. It is you, the strategy. See, so kindly, that assumption, eliminate it completely at the back of our mind. Then you'll find that BDA will always be a very interesting paper to handle. Then, another thing that you should always be having times, even before you go to that paper, I understand probably you'll be doing your mock on 20th, yeah? This mock ideally would give you an environment to understand how things are, but it is not like it's going to count in your final paper or final exams. And most probably, this mock will be the last sitting. This mock could be the last sitting paper that was done maybe in, they combined probably what was done in August, some that were done in April. So it's just a matter of, again, enabling you to understand how the questions are structured. So what Molimo is saying that before going to exams, always see in your Excel, let me show you something. Let me show you a secret here. This bit I've always talked about in class. Before you go to exams, if you come to your Excel data point here, come to Excel, then there's a data here. See, always make sure you have data analysis. This tool, make sure you have this at all times, anytime you're going to exams. So even before you go to exams, or rather before you go to that exam room with your laptop, make sure that your Excel has this element, the data analysis pack. It will save you a lot. Probably if your Excel doesn't have that pack, how do you normally insert the pack? You come to File, then you have options here. See, come to File, go to Options. Under Options, you come to Add-ins here. You come to your add-ins. That is, you go to File. In this case, you come to your add-ins at that point. Let it load. So under add-ins, in this case, you'll find that we have Analysis Tool Pack. So make sure you click Analysis Tool Pack, then you click Go. Then you click Go. So most of the time, if the analysis tool pack is not showing here, probably it is not checked. See, assuming I remove mine, this is how it will be. Assuming I remove mine, you find that your Excel data point, it won't be having the tool pack. It won't be having the tool pack here. See, like now, if you open Excel, it doesn't have that tool pack. That is one of the most important tool pack that you should be having when you go to that exam room for business data analytics. So we are saying, the moment you realize that you don't have this tool pack, what are you going to do? You come to File, come to Option, come to Admins here. See, come to Analysis Tool Pack. You click Go, and in this case, you check where we have Analysis Tool Pack. Then you do what? Okay. So that always make sure that you have this Analysis Tool Pack in your Excel. I'm really insisting on that because you need this when you be required to solve maybe descriptive statistics. You need this assuming you are tested on regression analysis. You can't handle regression effectively if at all you don't have this. Say, if at all you don't have this. Say, for example, like just a quick one. Let me show you. Going to a block model paper here. Let me show you something, just a quick one. When you're asked of regression, so this is a block model paper for business data analytics. I think there's a question for regression somewhere. Yeah, there's a question for regression analysis here in our block revision, right? In our block model paper. So you'll find that maybe you're asked, generate the regression output from MS Excel with the following information, regression statistics. Trust me, if at all you don't have that analysis tool pack, there's no way that you can solve this question. There is no way that you can solve this question. So always make sure that that analysis tool pack is there always before you go to the exams. And Mwalimu has guided us on how to do that. So make sure that sticks very well. Make sure that sticks very well. So we were on the aspect of the mistakes and what we should do. These are what you're talking about. The mistakes that majority, of course, they normally tend to do. See, so in this case, the first mistake we've said, never ignore theories. The second mistake we've said, don't assume that because you use Excel in at your workplace is the same thing that you're going to get at this point. So maybe before we jump to the next element, in this case, for like before you jump to the next component, probably I'll want maybe someone to ask a question before we jump to the next segment here. I'll invite questions before we go to the next segment. Kindly, you can unmute. You ask Mwalimu a question. Mwalimu will guide us. A question. If you're having a question, I've given you a chance. You can unmute. You ask Mwalimu a question.
Okay, teacher.
Yes, please.
Okay, a question here. Between tax and audit, which question do you advise we should choose?
Between tax and audit? Okay. In this case, you'll find that it will depend with the question that you feel you are comfortable with. My honest opinion. Audit, in the event that maybe you're asked, whereby you're asked of the adjusted maybe trial balance, talk about P&L and balance sheet. If you are very good and in this case very accurate on whatever that you're doing, audit will always be the way to go. So it has a disadvantage because for audit, so you're told to prepare your TB. In this case, all of them, maybe TB, P&L, for example, and maybe you're given, say, like balance sheet. See, like in this case, the person or the examiner will always tend to start from the bottom. Debit, credit. The moment I've realized that your debit is 100, your credit is 90, there's a very slim chance that you're going to score even 50% of this question. Why? Because already you'll find that, for example, for tax, in this case, I believe I'm audible now, right? I believe I'm audible right now. Sorry for that. So, for example, like, let me repeat again. We're saying that whenever you're doing auditing, in this case, you'll find that the examiner might always tend to start from this point here on the final answer that you have presented. So that in the event that debit and credit are not the same, already there's a chance that this examiner will feel in the mind that things are not right. And in this case, you won't expect the marker to come and try to look where the mistakes are. So if at all maybe a question was allocated, say like 20 marks, say, assuming a question was allocated 20 marks, you might end up getting even like 5 marks. See, it is not because that you didn't know, it is only because already in this case, the TB is not okay, meaning that P&L will also not be okay, and balance sheet eventually will also not be okay. So there's that impression that you've created with this person who is having your paper. So that will take us to tax. The advantage with tax is that all questions, yeah, they'll always tend to mark on the entries that you presented. Even the final solution won't be considered. Say, for example, maybe you're asked to work out capital allowances. Capital allowances will find that in this context, the good examiner will only look at the entries that you have presented, not the final answer. And this case will increase your chance of you passing this paper or of you maximizing on the points. So the first advice would be select the question that you're perfect on. If audit you've seen, it is something that you're very sure of, go with audit. If tax you've seen that's something that you can work it out, go with tax. So tax has always a higher probability of you scoring so many marks compared to audit if you make what? If you make a mistake. So Susan, if Mwalimu was to advise, that will have been my advice.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Any other question? Any question? Any other question, kindly? Where you feel you're having a question, this is the best time. Don't hesitate. Mwalimu is just getting us on what we need to do. Okay. So going to the next level here, let me see. Okay, I think that one. Yeah, I think HP you guided. Yeah, that is good. So the next bit I want us to guide us here is that we have tried to simulate what you guys are going to do, of course, in your paper. So what we have simulated, let me show you something here. We've literally simulated the exam environment, and I want you guys to try this. I want you guys to try this case. We have simulated the exam environment. So before exams, you come and try this. Before exams, you come and try this. We have literally simulated this case. So it is purely for BDA and all the CBC, yeah? So maybe you come, in this case, we have assessment portal. So this is maybe view assessment. We are doing this for BDA, yeah? Say, for example, because also BDA, you're also going to be timed. So all our block model papers are here for December 2025, literally for theory part only. These are block model paper for December 2025, purely for theory. So in this case, you want to start your assessment at this point. See, this item will also time you. It will time your case, so that you should also make sure that in an exam situation, you're also timing yourself. So when you start our assessment at this point, in this case, the timer will start. So how fast, maybe how fast is processed, how fast data is processed. In this case, literally, you'll be having your choices, which you can do. Come and take all the choices that you're selecting. For me, I'll just select randomly, and it is tracking your progress. So in this case, for me, I'll just select randomly. We're going to select randomly. I'm just going to select randomly here. We select. So once you're done with the final question, you can literally submit your assessment. So in this case, it will give you a score. Yeah, we have integrated artificial intelligence on the platform, so it will definitely track what you've done. It is telling me that, okay, there is a room for improvement. You see, so this will help you in your revision in a way. For theory part, if at all you go to question 1, we got correct answer. It will tell us why we have the correct answer and why also the other ones were not correct. For example, question 2, we didn't get the right answer. We picked logical, but the correct answer was physical. So the platform will tell us what is conceptual, what is logical, and the correct answer, the one that is supposed to be physical. This one we've gotten correct. But again, it will be able to explain for us the rest. You see, so what we've designed the platform in this case, you see what you're doing here, this is exactly what you're going to do in your exams. Only in your exams, you're not going to get the solutions. You're not going to get the solutions. But with this simulation that we've done, the one that we've created for you purely for business data analytics, you realize that, at this point, I've made a mistake. Why have I made a mistake? Okay, these are the explanation for the choices given. In this case, I made a mistake. Why have I not gotten it right? I picked relationship, but the correct answer was maybe comparison. So at this point, I'll be able to check the rest, why this was correct and why the other one was not correct. See, so I want you guys to just try to attempt, try to go, the platform is mdarasa.skillzones.africa. Just go, sign up, try to prove, try to measure your ability. How good are you on the aspect of the assessments or the aspect of theory? It will help you to know your position. And even before that, you can literally come and view. You see, you can come, of course, and take a chance to view the questions. Even before you start working it out, you can come, view the questions. See, you can literally come, view the questions. This one I've selected ATD, I need BDA. You can literally come view there. You can literally come and view the assessment. Even start working it out, you can come view, you can come and view the questions. See, you can view the questions. So at this point, I'll want you guys to take a chance. You have 2 weeks. Within these 2 weeks, you can measure yourself very well to know how good are you on the theory.
Teacher, what do you
are you on the theory?
a question? Where do you get the assessment, please?
We said you go to mdarasa.skillzones.africa. mdarasa.skillzones.africa. I'm going to share this link. Let me share this link in our chat. It will help you to know your position very well. It will help you to know your position, where you are, more so for the theory. I believe probably by maybe good dealing, if at all we work with the pace by Friday, you can also do the Excel, literally pure simulation of what you're going to do in your exams. So you come to assessment. This is a CBE. You come to CPA. This is a advanced level. We have 2 block model papers for theory, block model paper 1, block model paper 2. So you can view the questions before you start, as we said. You can come, view the questions. It is very easy to use. See, you can come, view the questions before you start working them out. Come view the questions. So once you feel like you can now do the question, because once you start, it is going to time you. Once you start, it is going to time you. And you must finish all the questions within the time that will be given. So we've literally created an exam. We've simulated the exam situation. So if you do that, you'll be able to know your position, where you are when it comes to what? When it comes to business data analytics. The other area that, again, I should also talk about in BDA, majority of the students, they normally tend to think is always about shortcuts, Excel. That is what majority normally tend to think. It is always about shortcuts. No. For BDA, most important for financial management area, even this time round, we can bet 10,000 shillings. We can bet 10,000 shillings. Even this time round, you will be expected to understand the function of NPV. You will be expected to understand the function of IRR, how to use the functions. You'll be expected, of course, to understand the aspect of XIRR. You'll be expected to understand the functions when it comes to present values, either annuity or what? Lump sum. You'll be expected to understand the aspect of financial functions. You'll be expected to understand the if functions. You'll be expected to understand the if functions. And all these other functions which I believe Mwalimu had shared with us. See, so in this context, then you realize that once you have this one right, and I believe other than just going about this, if at all you check, I think I believe it was added. You see, in the theory that Mwalimu had shared with us, the theory part here. I think there's an area which had talked about the same, other than the shortcuts which we have here. Below, you'll find that Mwalimu has given us some specific functions that we need to be very good at. See, this area, key elements. Mwalimu has clearly elaborated for us the concepts, more so when it comes to the functions that we must be having in our fingertips. There's also an Excel document, again, with the same functions, which you can literally take a look at it. It will help us a lot. So make sure that this time, 2 weeks, is enough to make a lot of difference, by the way. The 2 weeks remaining is very enough to make a lot of difference. Very enough. That one I can tell you for sure. 2 weeks is very enough to make a lot of difference. So take a chance. Of course, make sure that you go through these specific areas, avoid the mistakes that you normally tend to make. And lastly, you can attempt the block model. This one can be shared in the group. For the groups that it has not been shared, we have 2 block model papers, whereby we've covered area of financial reporting, the aspect of ratios. This is aspect of financial management. So this one, I believe you had already worked it out in class. The aspect of financial management. We have the aspect of management accounting, which will be doing activity-based budgeting, the aspect of budgeting or the question that is there. We have capital allowance. And of course, audit, and we're also going to add a question for audit. So these are some of the things that you should be prepared as you plan to sit for exams in the next 2 weeks. So at this point, any question, kindly? Any question? Let me see the chat. Any question where you feel like Mwalimu should elaborate further? Mwalimu is here to do that. Mercy, yes, Mercy, are you in any of our groups? Mercy, are you in any of our groups?
No.
So just reach us out right now. Then no worries, we can share to you 0708068851. Reach us out on the number there. Then of course it will be shared to you. No worries. Because of this time, in this case, we can just share to you. Okay, we can share to you. Great. To log in, I've said I've attached that link. Again, that is go to mdarasa.skillzones. mdarasa.skillzones.africa. mdarasa.skillzones.africa.
Question.
Yes, please.
Is this link, does it need a password to join the skill zone?
The skill zone, not you create your own. You just like let me show you. For new, if at all you don't have an account, you come and get started. Let me just yeah, it is important. Thank you for that. It is important for you to know how to go about it here. You just come and get started. You create an account. you come and get started here. So get started, you literally create your account here. You fill in all your details as an individual, not as an institution. You fill in all your details as an individual. Then in that case, you go to assessment, you try attempt it out. So guys, thank you so much. I thought that I could have done a question, but because of time, I think we'll arrange for another session whereby you're going to do a question together, like two or three questions. So to this point, thank you so much for attending the session. And I believe we've learned one or two. So to that point, wish you guys a very wonderful day.